The wind was already taking things when he found her. A badge half buried in snow. A dog refusing to leave her side. She tried to stand and failed. When the truck stopped, she didn't reach for help. She reached for her weapon. That's when the man in the headlights said, quietly, "Ride with me. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments below." He shouldn't have been on that road. Everyone in town knew it closed first when storms rolled in, but the blizzard didn't care about rules. It erased the yellow lines, swallowed the trees, turned distance into guesswork. He drove slow anyway, hands loose on the wheel, eyes trained forward the way muscle memory insisted. The shape appeared too late. Not a deer, not driftwood, person. He braked hard. The truck fishtailed, corrected, stopped crooked across the road. Snow hammered the windshield like thrown gravel. For a long second, he stayed inside, engine idling, watching the figure sway. She didn't wave, didn't shout. She stood between him and the dark, one leg barely holding, the other dragging uselessly behind. A German shepherd pressed against her thigh, teeth bared, body angled protectively. He stepped out. The cold punched through his jacket instantly. "I'm not getting closer," he called out. "Just tell me if you're hurt." She laughed once, sharp, bitter. "Does it look like I'm sightseeing?" Her voice carried authority even through pain. He saw the jacket then. Police issue, torn at the shoulder, blood frozen black along the hem. The dog growled. He raised both hands, slow. "Easy. I'm not here to make things worse." She watched him the way people did when they expected disappointment. That was familiar. Her knee buckled before either of them moved. She caught herself against the dog, fingers digging into thick fur. The shepherd adjusted instantly, shifting weight, bracing her without command. That told him more than the badge. "Your leg's bad," he said. "I know. Storm's getting worse. I know that too." Silence filled the space between gusts of wind. Snow piled against his boots. He noticed the tremor in her hands. Not fear, not cold. Exhaustion. He nodded toward the truck. "Ride with me. Warm cab. We reassess from there." She shook her head. Immediate. "No." He didn't argue, just waited. The dog's eyes never left him. Amber. Calculating. "What's your plan?" he asked. "I walk." "To where?" "Anywhere that isn't here." That was honesty, not bravado. He respected it. "My place is 3 miles up," he said. "Cabin. Generator. Fire. You can leave once the road clears." "And if I say no again?" He shrugged. "Then I drive on and wonder if I should have tried harder." That landed. She looked past him, into the white, weighing pride against survival. The dog whined softly, pressing closer to her leg. Finally, she exhaled. Long, controlled. "One wrong move," she said. "And he goes first." He nodded. "Fair." When she limped toward the truck, he didn't touch her. He opened the door. Let her choose. The heater groaned to life like it resented the effort. She sat stiff in the passenger seat, boots dripping melted snow onto the floor mat. The dog climbed in after her, back seat only, eyes still locked on him. Neither spoke for a full minute. Her breathing was shallow, controlled, the kind that came from pain managed, not pain gone. "You military?" she asked finally. "Yes." "Past or present?" "Depends who's asking." She smirked despite herself, then winced. He kept his eyes on the road. "You're bleeding through." "I'll live." That wasn't the question. Another pause. Then, quieter, "I lost my kit." That mattered more than she said. He reached behind his seat, produced a compact medical pouch, tossed it onto the console. She eyed it, suspicious. "Use it," he said. "Or don't." She did. Efficient. No wasted motion. He noticed how she bit down on her sleeve instead of making a sound. The cabin appeared out of nowhere. A dark shape hunched under Snow, smoke barely visible from the pipe. When he parked, she didn't move. "You can rest," he said. "Just long enough to stop shaking." "I'm not shaking." He turned the engine off. Silence rushed in. "Yes," he said gently. "You are." This time she didn't argue. Inside, the cabin smelled like pine, oil, and old smoke. One room, no clutter. A life reduced to essentials. He stoked the fire. She lowered herself onto the edge of the couch. Jaw tight, dog positioned between them like a wall with teeth. "Mind if I look?" he asked, nodding at her leg. "Do it fast." The wound was ugly. Shrapnel tear, half closed, swollen angry red. She'd cleaned it well, but walking had reopened everything. "You need stitches," he said. "I need to not pass out." He worked quietly, cleaned, rewrapped. His hands were steady, practiced, gentle without being soft. She watched him from beneath her lashes. "You live alone," she said. "Yes." "No neighbors." "No." "Figures." The dog finally lay down, head on paws, but his eyes stayed open. "What's your name?" he asked. "Officer Carter." He waited. "Emily," she corrected. "Nathan." The fire cracked. Wind rattled the windows. For the first time since she'd entered, her shoulders dropped an inch. "Thank you," she said, not meeting his eyes. He nodded. "Didn't say you're welcome." That wasn't what she needed. She fell asleep sitting up. Not gracefully, not peacefully. Just exhaustion winning an argument she'd been fighting too long. Nathan draped a blanket over her shoulders. The dog lifted his head, watched, then allowed it. Outside, the storm worsened. Snow climbed the windows like it meant to get in. He stood by the sink, hands braced on the counter, listening to the wind and the fire and the unfamiliar sound of someone else breathing in his space. He told himself it was temporary. Everything always was. A low sound made him turn. Not from Emily, from the dog. A soft whine, barely audible. "What is it?" Nathan whispered. The shepherd stood, paced once, then pressed his nose to the door. Nathan frowned. "No one's out there," he murmured. The dog didn't move. Then Nathan heard it. Not wind, not branches. Footsteps. Slow, careful, too deliberate to be weather. His body reacted before his thoughts caught up. Lights off. Fire dampened. Rifle from the wall. Emily stirred as he crossed the room. "Nathan?" she whispered. "Stay down," he said quietly. The dog growled. Deep, certain. Outside, something shifted in the dark. And whatever had followed her out of the storm hadn't given up. Nathan moved without noise. Years of training returned not as adrenaline, but as calm. The kind that narrowed the world to angles and timing. The footsteps circled once outside, then stopped. Emily was awake now, sitting upright despite the pain. One hand slid beneath the blanket. He saw the tension in her shoulders before he saw the weapon. Small. Service issue. She hadn't reached for it earlier. That mattered. "Basement?" she whispered. He shook his head once. Too loud. The handle rattled. Soft. Testing. Nathan stepped between the door and the couch. Body angled. Rifle low but ready. The dog placed himself in front of Emily without being told. "Whoever you are," Nathan said, voice steady, "this road is closed." Silence. Then a voice. Male. Thin. Amused. Funny place to hide. Emily's jaw tightened. She knew that voice. "Go," Nathan said under his breath. "Back room. Now." "I'm not." "Emily." She hesitated exactly 1 second. Then she moved. The door creaked open. Snow blew in, along with the smell of sweat and cheap fuel. A figure stepped inside. Hood up, face half hidden. "Evening," the man said. "Heard you had something of ours." Nathan didn't answer. The dog lunged. The shepherd hit the man low, fast, driving him back into the snow before he could react. The man went down hard, breath exploding out of him in a wet grunt. Another shape moved behind him. Nathan fired once. Not at flesh. At ground. Inches from boots. "Don't," he warned. That stopped them. Two men now, framed in white and dark. One clutching his arm where teeth had torn fabric. The other holding a flashlight too tight. "You've got a cop in there," the second man said. "She owes us." Emily's voice came from the shadows. Calm. Controlled. "I already paid." The first man laughed. Sharp and ugly. "You think that explosion was payment?" Nathan stepped forward, placing himself fully in view. "You're done," he said. "Storm's not on your side." The flashlight wavered. The men hadn't expected resistance. Certainly not this kind. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Far, but real. The second man swore. She called it in. Emily hadn't. Nathan knew that. But fear didn't care about truth. They backed away slowly, dragging the injured one between them. "This isn't over," the first man spat. Nathan held his ground until they vanished into the snow. Only then did he lower the rifle. Emily exhaled, shaky despite her effort. The dog returned to her side, blood on his muzzle, tail stiff with pride. The silence afterward was worse than the noise. Nathan locked the door, braced it, checked windows. Emily sat heavily, the adrenaline bleeding out of her fast. Too fast. "Those weren't random," he said. "No," she admitted. "They were supposed to be in custody." "Supposed to," he repeated. She nodded. "Transfer went wrong. I testified. They recognized me." "Why didn't you say anything?" Her mouth opened, closed. "Didn't think I'd survive long enough for it to matter." That landed harder than she intended. Nathan crouched in front of her. Not as a soldier. Not as a protector. Just a man who understood that calculation. "You don't get to decide that alone," he said quietly. She met his eyes. Something shifted there. Trust, fragile and reluctant. The dog nudged her hand. She rested it on his head, fingers curling into fur. "What now?" she asked. Nathan stood, looked at the storm, the dark, the road that was no longer empty. "Now," he said, "we stay awake." He poured coffee neither of them wanted and both of them needed. Outside, the wind howled again, but it no longer sounded empty. Dawn came gray and slow, like it wasn't sure it was welcome. Emily hadn't slept. Neither had Nathan. The storm had moved east, leaving the world hushed and brittle. Snow glittered hard as glass. Nathan checked the road with binoculars. No tracks, no movement. Behind him, Emily stood with effort, testing her leg. "Better. Not good." "You should have left me," she said quietly. He didn't turn. "Not an option. You didn't know what you were stepping into." He faced her then. "Yes, I did." She frowned. "I knew it wouldn't be simple," he said. "That's enough." A truck appeared at the bend. Sheriff's department. 2 vehicles. Emily sagged with relief she tried to hide. When the deputies took statements, she was concise. Professional. No drama. One of them glanced at Nathan. "You former military?" "Yes." The deputy nodded. Respect. Unspoken. When they left, the cabin felt empty again. Too quiet. Emily sat, hands wrapped around a mug gone cold. "They'll move me," she said. "Protective housing." Nathan absorbed that. Didn't argue. "Thank you," she added, "for not asking me to stay." He nodded. "Thank you for trusting me enough to leave." They shared a look that said more than either would. The truck came for her at noon. She stood on the porch, bundled, dog at her side. He would go with her. That was non-negotiable. Nathan carried her bag, set it down gently. She hesitated, then reached out, took his hand. Brief, firm. "You gave me more than a ride," she said. He shrugged. Weather does strange things to people. She smiled. Small. Real. The dog stepped forward, pressed his head against Nathan's leg once. Farewell. Approval given. Emily paused at the open door of the truck. Looked back. If things were different. They're not, Nathan said softly. But they're better. She nodded, then climbed in. The truck pulled away, tires crunching over ice, disappearing down the road. Nathan stood until it was gone. The wind moved through the trees again. Not angry now, just present. Inside, the cabin returned to stillness. But it wasn't empty anymore. Something had been restored. Not peace, not closure, just balance. And sometimes that was enough. The cabin didn't settle back into silence the way it used to. Nathan noticed it that first night alone. The fire popped louder. The wind found seams it hadn't before. Even the shadows seemed less cooperative, refusing to stay in corners. He cleaned, reorganized things that didn't need it, slept in short stretches. 3 days passed. On the 4th, he found the bandage wrapper behind the couch. Folded, neat, left behind without intention. He didn't throw it away. The sheriff called once. Routine follow-up. Nathan answered with the same economy he always used. Yes. No. Understood. She's holding up, the sheriff said near the end. Didn't say much. That's usually a good sign. Nathan let that sit. After the call, he went outside and shoveled the porch, though the snow had already hardened into something close to ice. His shoulder ached. Old injury. Manageable. Halfway through, the dog barked. Not close. Not distant. Nathan straightened slowly. A vehicle approached. Too soon for supply runs. Too quiet to be official. He rested the shovel against the railing and waited. The truck stopped where the road bent. A woman stepped out. Not Emily. Older. Heavy coat. Eyes sharp with the kind of concern that came from responsibility, not curiosity. You Nathan Cole? She asked. Yes. I'm Martha Reeves, she said. Emily asked me to find you. Martha didn't sit right away. She stood by the stove, hands clasped, assessing the space like someone deciding whether it was safe to speak. I'm Noah's aunt, she said. Emily didn't tell you about him. Nathan shook his head. Didn't think so, she exhaled. He ran from the foster house during the storm, panicked, thought his dog would follow him back. Nathan felt the shift immediately, pieces realigning. They found him? He asked. Yes, Martha said. Alive, cold, lucky. Relief came, sharp and unexpected. But, she continued, the men who went after Emily weren't just after her. Nathan stayed quiet. They were using the boy, Martha said. Leverage, threats. Emily figured it out too late. Nathan's jaw tightened. She didn't tell me, he said. She didn't tell anyone, Martha replied. Until now. She pulled a folded note from her pocket, handed it to him. Emily's handwriting was clean, controlled. If you're reading this, it means I didn't want to put you in more danger. Noah is safe. For now. But they won't stop unless someone stands in front of them. Nathan read it twice, folded it carefully. Where is she? He asked. Martha met his eyes. Heading back. They arrived after dark. 2 vehicles this time. Official. Unmarked. Emily stepped out slower than before, her legs still stiff but holding. The dog jumped down first, tail wagging once when he saw Nathan. Just once. She didn't smile. Inside, the air felt heavier, charged. They moved Noah, Emily said without preamble. Safe house. Temporary. And the men. One was released on bail. Nathan absorbed that. They know where I was, she continued. They know who helped me. Silence stretched. I won't stay, she said. Not here. Not long. I know. But I need one night. That was the cost. Not danger. Not fear. Trust. Nathan nodded. You have it. Later, when the fire burned low and the wind stayed quiet, Emily finally spoke again. "I didn't come back for shelter," she said. "I came back because if something happens, I didn't want the last thing between us to be unfinished." Nathan didn't move. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm here." The dog settled between them, sighing deep. Outside, headlights appeared again. Not stopping, passing. For now. The knock came at 2:17 a.m. Not loud, not rushed, certain. Nathan was already awake. Emily reached for her jacket. Nathan caught her wrist gently, shook his head. He moved first this time. Opened the door to cold and 3 silhouettes. One stepped forward. Familiar voice, smiling without warmth. "You really should have stayed out of this," the man said. Nathan studied him. Not angry, not afraid. "Last chance," Nathan said. The man laughed, raised his hand. That's when the dog lunged again. Everything collapsed into motion. The second man went down hard. The third ran. Emily's voice cut through the dark. Clear, commanding. "Police! Drop it!" The first man hesitated. That was enough. By the time sirens arrived, closer now, the fight was over. The man lay face down in the snow, breathing hard, hands cuffed. Nathan stood back, blood on his knuckles. Emily watched the patrol cars pull in, shoulders finally lowering. She didn't cry. She just leaned briefly against the porch rail. Held. Morning arrived clean and bright. No storm, no threat, just snow marked by footprints leading away. The sheriff took statements again. This time slower, more careful. "These charges will stick," he said to Emily. "Both of them." She nodded. Relief without celebration. Noah arrived later that afternoon. He ran straight to the dog, burying his face in fur, laughing through tears. Nathan stood back. Let it happen. Emily watched him watch the boy. "You'd have been good at this," she said quietly. "At what?" "Staying." He considered that. Noah waved at him. Shy, hopeful. Nathan raised a hand in return. When they left, Emily lingered. "You don't have to do this again," she said. "You already gave enough." Nathan looked at the road, then at the cabin, then back at her. "Maybe," he said, "but maybe this is the part where I stop leaving." She smiled then, not grateful, certain. The truck disappeared down the road. The cabin stood, and for the first time in years, Nathan didn't feel like it was waiting for something to end. The days after were quieter, but not empty. Nathan noticed it in small ways. The way the dog stayed even after Noah left. The way the porch light stayed on at night without him thinking about it. The way the cabin felt less like a place to disappear and more like a place to return to. Emily checked in once. Short call. No details. "They're moving Noah again," she said. "Long-term placement. Far from here." "That's good," Nathan replied. "Yes," she agreed, then paused. "It costs him something." That was the part no one ever wrote down. After the call, Nathan saddled his truck and drove into town for the first time in months. Picked up supplies. Fixed a tire for a man who didn't ask questions. Returned a wallet someone dropped outside the diner. Small things. At dusk, he found the dog waiting by the road. Ears perked, body alert. "Not tonight," Nathan said softly. The dog sat anyway. Nathan joined him. They waited until the light thinned and the cold settled in. Nothing came, but for the first time, waiting didn't feel like punishment. Emily returned 2 weeks later. No sirens, no escort, just her car easing into the bend, tires crunching over old snow. She walked better now, still stiff, still careful. Nathan didn't rush. They stood a few feet apart, measuring something invisible. "No one followed me," she said. "I know." She looked surprised. "How?" He gestured to the trees. "You learn patterns." She nodded, accepted it. They went inside. Coffee. Fire. Familiar silence. I'm transferring, she said finally. Different department. Different state. That sounds permanent. It is. He let that sit. I didn't come for closure, she added. I came to say thank you properly. He shook his head. Already done. She reached into her pocket and placed something on the table. Her badge. Cracked. Bent. Scarred. They said I could keep it, she said. Didn't feel right taking it with me. Nathan picked it up. Heavy. Earned. He handed it back. Then don't leave it behind. She smiled. Soft. Sad. They walked outside together. The snow was melting now. Slow streams cutting through white. I don't regret any of it, Emily said. The storm. The road. Even the fear. Nathan watched the horizon. Neither do I. She hesitated, then said the thing she'd come holding. If things had been different. He stopped her with a look. Not sharp. Gentle. They were exactly what they needed to be. That wasn't dismissal. It was respect. They stood in silence until the cold crept back in. At her car, she turned once more. You gave me somewhere to stand when everything else gave way, she said. He nodded. You reminded me why that matters. They didn't hug, didn't promise. She drove away steady and alone. Nathan stayed until the road emptied. Then he went back inside, closed the door, and let the fire burn down naturally. No rushing, no holding on. Spring came late that year. When it did, it arrived without announcement. Nathan noticed green first, then water moving where ice had been. Noah sent a postcard. One sentence, crooked handwriting. Shadow says hi. Nathan smiled longer than he expected. The dog never left. Some nights, Nathan still woke early. Old habits didn't vanish. They softened. He began riding out farther, helping when asked, leaving when not. The cabin stayed. One afternoon, he found the badge again. Emily had slipped it into a drawer after all. He understood. He mounted it above the door, not as decoration, as reminder of cost, of choice. Of the night the storm brought someone to his road and asked him to decide who he was going to be next. Outside, the wind moved through trees that were no longer bare. Nathan stepped onto the porch. The road stretched out ahead, open. Years later, people would ask why he stayed, why he never moved on. Nathan never gave a straight answer. Some things weren't meant to be explained. They were meant to be lived with. On winter nights, when storms rolled in hard and fast, he still drove the road. Slow. Watching. Not looking to save anyone. Just ready. Because sometimes doing the right thing doesn't change the world. It just changes who you are when the world pushes back. And sometimes that's enough. Some storms don't pass quickly. They take something from you first. But once in a while, they give something back. If the story stayed with you, let it stay a little longer. Subscribe, like, or turn on the bell if you want more stories like this. And tell us in the comments what this one meant to you, or where you're watching from.